So, but they're using that to share their documents with the field. And so we're just looking in Fremont for, I kind of been asked by Larson just to kind of do a little digging and figure out how different PMs are sharing all those files with the field, and then kind of, got with the field and asked them which methods they believe works better. So this is kind of just the next step, is just kind of looking at all of our options and seeing if how Seattle is using Bluebeam projects, if that could work in Fremont. So I think Juanade is just going to go through how they're using it. He's not going to go through how to set up a project in Bluebeam or all the technical stuff, but he's just kind of going to show us how they're using it and how they use it with the field. And then if anybody is interested in trying it out, they can reach out to him and he can get into the more technical side and kind of walk you through it. But we thought this would just be a good starting point.
Perfect.
Thanks, John.
All righty.
Yeah, so I can go ahead and share my screen. Just as a heads up, though, are you guys familiar with what Bluebeam is, or do I?
Yes.
I don't need to go into that, do I?
Yeah, we have Bluebeam for our drawings.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I apologize. I'm a little bit. We pretty much use Teams completely, so I always forget where all the controls are in Zoom. So in communicating with the field, we're doing a couple of different things. The first thing we're doing is we've gone to using projects in Bluebeam. So projects is part of the studio tab. There's two different options. So if you're in Bluebeam, you should be able to find the studio tab. If it's turned off, you can usually go to your tools to turn that on. But there are two different types of things that Studio has. One is called projects, one is called sessions. So sessions, I think that you guys have used, many of you guys have used that down there. It allows for collaborative efforts in PDF documents where people can mark things up simultaneously and, kind of just work together on the same documents. Projects is kind of more of a retainer for actual documents. So the way we've been using this is we had started with our field guys starting to upload drawings, off of the server and into projects. And, we found that they were finding that it was a lot easier for them to access files when they didn't have to worry about trying to get a VPN connection as well. It was a lot easier just to go off of Wi-Fi. So they had started uploading drawings to projects, and then we in the last couple of months have tried to just sync up to everyone just working off of projects instead of having things both on the server and on projects. So right now we're publishing all our PDFs to projects as well.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Is there any offline capabilities of this?
Yeah. So once you're in a project, you'll see like that green circle. That's showing that you're synced to the project. But once you've downloaded, like the first time you open a project, it might take a while because it's going to download all the documents. So you have the ability to see those documents when you're not on the internet, and you'll see that this isn't green, and you can even upload stuff and to the project. But until you reconnect to the internet and then sync, that stuff won't update.
Okay,
but yeah,
that makes sense, but they can still, if they've downloaded all of the files in that project when they had Wi-Fi and then they go out,
right.
somewhere where they don't, it would work, that they could still
Yes.
look at them. It's just they're not looking at the live version.
Right. Yeah. It was one thing that, was an important part of understanding once we started using Bluebeam out in the field that, sometimes the field guys would call me, back when I was a project manager, sometimes the field guys would call me up and say, hey, did you see this thing here? And I'd be like, no, not yet. And so they got used to checking whether they were on Wi-Fi, whether they were synced before they're calling and figuring out why no one's answering their messages.
Okay, that makes sense.
So yeah, you can definitely look at this. It also, a common complaint that we've got when our shop and field started using this is that, oh, well, it takes way longer to open drawings, but usually that's just the first time. Because once you've opened a project for the first time and you've gotten your drawings open for the first time, you're not having to, it's not re-uploading every single drawing. So it might upload 1 or 2 drawings, which takes a lot less time. So it's usually not sometimes what people see is the first time it takes a really long time. And so they think, oh, well, this is going to be way too slow. But in reality, after that, it goes a lot faster.
Can I ask you a question, or are we doing questions on this? So when new drawings come out, it's automatically put into this Bluebeam as well, right? When you publish? Yes. Okay. What about like fabs? Is that when the fab team does your fabs, it's all automatic. So it's really not in the project manager's hands. It's automatically put into the project. The field guy has access to the project. Right. First time he loads up, it's going to take a while for him to download it to his computer, but after that, it should go faster. So it's really bypassing the project managers with putting all that information in.
Right. So in every one of our Bluebeam projects, we have, a folder for what we call tech services, our engineering department. So the documents that they create go into here. There's 3 folders that we use. Active drawings are kind of the shop drawings that are currently being used. Production packages, those are your fab drawings, your unit drawings, tag drawings. So once they're, as these are being created and being finished and published by engineering, they're being uploaded directly onto Bluebeam. So actually, let me just go. So if I go from a unit tag sheet, and I know we do things by floors and not elevations, so things might look a little different from the way you guys are used to seeing things. But like on this floor, I could see that, okay, here's unit 75, right? Mm-hmm. And so in the field, I want to see what that unit is. I can click on that, and it's going to open up the unit drawing to show me, what unit 75 looks like. I can go to, hey, I'm having an issue with the head detail. I can go to that then.
And, so if the panel team, for instance, made an update on a panel, that would automatically be logged in, and then once the super went in to look at the project, it would update and it'd be there forever.
Right. Yeah. And part of what we were doing with this is we really wanted to, because what we had was we were updating the drawings on the server, and then it was hit and miss whether they would get updated on Bluebeam. So we just wanted one place of truth. Right? Yeah. So everybody now is looking at Bluebeam. So this isn't just our shop now. Our field, our PMs, everyone's going to Bluebeam. There's no other spot where we're publishing drawings.
That's cool. I think where we get tripped up sometimes is we'll get, panel fabs or something updated, drawings updated, and then we don't give those updated drawings to the field. They're maybe working off older ones or something like that, because at times it's a lot of documents to keep track of. So if it's automatically done from the fab team or from drafting, that kind of bypasses the project manager entirely.
Right. Yeah. And the point of it is, just like you were saying, we didn't want to, we've had it where, like when I was out in the field and we'd be looking at, the field guy would be looking at a drawing in Bluebeam, and then we'd go back and I'd be like, no, that was updated last week or whatever. And so it's changed to this anchor. But it didn't get transferred to Bluebeam. It just became an easier thing to say, okay, let's just cut the middle out and just go straight to Bluebeam, and everyone's looking at Bluebeam then.
Yeah.
Is there any I've never tried to, I don't even know if Bluebeam exists on the iPad. Is there any way that the field can access this from an iPad?
Yes, yes, there is Bluebeam for Apple products, iPads and whatnot. I've never actually used it on that, but I know some of our field guys have. Mostly our field guys have Surfaces, so that's what they've been using. But I know a couple of them have used Bluebeam off the iPad.
Okay.
I don't know exactly.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good to know for them.
Functionality. Yeah. So, from the unit drawing, I was able to get to a detail. What we found that it's easier, it's better to have, because originally we played around with putting like a binder of drawings on the server, but what we found is it's a lot easier to have the drawings all separate, because then you can replace the drawing quite easily if there's an update to the drawing. Also, when you're actually trying to look at the drawings, or I want to see this detail and I want to see this detail, I don't have to keep switching pages back and forth. If I click on two different details, it's going to open those details up in two different tabs. So I can go from that one to that one and try to see what the relationship between those two is. And then same thing with all the part drawings, all the part drawings are linked as well. So that way, going from, so whether it's the guy in the shop, the guy in the field, the guys up in engineering or in project management, everybody has kind of the same unit drawing they're looking at. They can click on any part and it's all linked together. So that way it's, a little easier to go back and forth between stuff. And so we found that the functionality, the linking functionality was something that, especially the shop and the field guys who, we don't want to be spending, we don't want them spending a whole lot of time trying to find things in the drawings. Having the ability to click on a detail, go to that detail, click on the part, go to that part, it was just real useful. And so we, and so all our engineering documents are in these projects, from unit drawings, tag sheets, all that kind of stuff. The shop drawings as well are shop drawings, embed drawings, mock-up drawings are all here as well. Again, they're all linked, so I could go to any elevation sheet and click on, any detail, and it should be going up. Yeah, and it will go to those details. And it just made, like I said, it just made it a little easier to manage the drawings and actually use the drawings, especially, from the engineer side, from the PM side. It became, when you're so used to looking at the drawings, you don't necessarily see it from the guy in the shop's point of view or the guy in the field's point of view, where they only want to be looking at it for, they're only looking at it if they have some issue, right? And they want to be able to resolve that issue quickly. So that functionality, it was really helpful for them.
Can you comment on the documents in here?
You can. So if we wanted to, so for example, let me go back to the image. For example, you see that vertical check box right there, or that comment right there?
Yeah.
So our programmer out in the shop, who does the CNC programming, he'll stamp the unit drawing once he's done. So the way he does that is he checks out the drawing. Once it's checked out, it's now with him to edit. So two people can't check out the same drawing at once. It's, you're checking it out from the library. You can put some comment on it, get rid of this later, and then you can check it back in.
Oh, okay.
And put a comment on it if you want to check it back in with a comment, and people would see that. So once it's checked back in, now everybody would see that unit 70, everybody who opens that unit 75 sees that.
That's cool, because that could be really great for us when we have weird areas, or we knew there was a particular situation that happened after the fact. There's a lot of times where we put notes on a unit assembly drawing for the shop, or we would like to put more notes on a key sheet that may be confusing, or an area on the shop drawings that you want the field to, look for something in particular. So that could be really great for
Right.
that.
And our shop guys are getting used to it. They've also talked about using that so they can, like our shop managers can put different things on notches to say, hey, you go to this station to do these notches, or different markup fab drawings to give more specific information than we would be putting on. Yes, definitely. So the only thing you have to make sure of is that you check a drawing back in once you've checked it out. If you go, actually, let me check it out just to show you. If you have multiple drawings checked out and you're marking up multiple drawings, if you go back to the project page, you'll see in this pending all the drawings that you have checked out. And if I had multiple ones open, I could select all of them and check them all back in from here. So it's not just a one at a time type deal.
Okay.
So especially when, like, for the guys who in engineering, when they're linking the drawings, they have to check all the drawings out to link them. So they can just run through all the drawings and check them back in.
Nice. So you might have already said this, but so like if a key sheet is revised by takeoff team, they automatically replace the document that was previously in here with the newest one?
Yes.
And that same goes for shop drawings. So if we made an update to the shops, the drafter would go in and put the latest and greatest?
Yes, and then the way we handle it is they would send out an email for an engineering change on that to the project team, whoever needed to be included on that, depending on what their project is and what the status was. So, and we, do I have open? I think we, and so we have like we have a log for that. We're, again, like we're in kind of the early stages, so it's changed a couple of times based on different people's input. But whenever something's put on Bluebeam, we just log what date it's put on there, and if there's any revisions to it after that, we'll log what the revision dates are.
Is that the PM who owns this document that you have open right now, or?
For us, it's the guys in engineering who do that.
Okay.
Because once they put it on Bluebeam and link it, then they're filling this out and then sending the email to the PM saying that, hey, this has been updated.
This is not part of Bluebeam. Are you guys thinking about putting this document in Bluebeam so it's always accessible?
Yeah, this isn't part of Bluebeam. Unfortunately, because there's a couple of different documents we would like to. It would be great if we could put an Excel spreadsheet on Bluebeam. So you can upload Excel spreadsheets to Bluebeam. Like, for example, our cut lists are all spreadsheets. But as soon as they're not active on Bluebeam, so as soon as you click on them, they're going to download onto your own computer. So.
And then, okay, that makes sense. And then, like, back to I think what Shiloh's question, one of their questions were earlier. Like if a fab team member were to go in and modify it, do they lock that document while they're modifying it and then unlock it?
If they're replacing the document, it's they don't necessarily have to lock or unlock it, because what they're doing is they're replacing it. So there's a functionality in Bluebeam called slip sheeting, which you choose the document you're trying to replace, and then you choose the replacement document.
Okay.
And because that way you have to use the slip sheet functionality, because otherwise all your links are broken. Because if you just take it off and re-upload it, or what'll happen is it doesn't know that new document, all the links that are in the shop drawings or anything, it doesn't know that that's there.
Gotcha.
So that's the main way we're using projects for, like to kind of publish documents and keep it with the shop and field. We're about a couple months into it right now, so I'm meeting regularly with the different departments to make sure what's working for them, and a lot of what hasn't been has just been kind of training different people on how to use it and whatnot. So we're trying to get a little more. We've got a couple of training videos, but we've got kind of a couple of longer training videos. So we're trying to make it into more bite-sized chunks of, okay, this is how you do this in a 5-minute video instead of a 1-hour video of showing this is how you use Bluebeam. So that's how we use Bluebeam projects. We still use sessions with our field, and I didn't know whether we wanted to go into that at all, but just to quickly show you, we still use sessions where we have a kind of field markup session where they can tell us if there's something wrong. So all these notes are field markups by our layout crew, usually on this particular building, and this building's a little older, so this was all just the slab was too far in or too far out, so we came up with field fixes there. And then what we're doing now is we have a project that we created with a field fix library. So instead of the field fixes being specific to projects, and we do a lot less projects than you guys per year, so this works out better for us. But we just put all the field fixes in one project, and that way, and we made a library of field fixes where, depending on what the condition is, you can kind of use these to filter out what condition you're looking at, and you'd be able to see what's been done on different projects and be able to kind of come up with a field fix faster.
Yeah, that is so cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool. Do these field fixes include calc packages for the field fix?
Yeah, so then each of these are linked. So once you find one, so like let's say I've got an issue with a missing embed at a top of slab anchor, so I would choose like missing embed on a dead load top of slab.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so you just like are filtering.
These are
Wow.
fixes that would.
Yeah, that's cool.
How long have you guys been doing that?
We've been doing it for about 6-7 months now, and then
Gosh, that's amazing.
and then we've been we kind of got out of the testing on it now, and so everyone's using it. So it kind of, one thing that what I found was happening was we would kind of be recreating the wheel a lot of the time on different every job. As soon as you got to a missing embed, one person would be using like one solution and another person would be using a completely different solution. So this just helps kind of speed it up. So the idea is that when they come to a field situation like this, the PM and head field guys could go through, figure out which ones, if there's a similar condition, if they like a certain field fix, send that to the engineering department, and then the engineering department can use that as the template to say, okay, this is what this is how we want to make this fix. So, you know, and that way it kind of gives because one thing that was the field guys really, you know, every job, depending on who the PM is, depending on who the engineer was, they'd be like, well, we like these guys' field fixes a lot better than this guy's field fixes, right? And so we're just trying to make it a little more consistent and give them the input, give them the ability to give input at the front end. So that's so again, you know, like, so they mark up a session showing what the field conditions are, you know, even, I'm sure I can find one. Sometimes if it's something real particular, they'll take like a picture and include it. So, and then from there, we would go to the field fix library, find if there's something that could be done with that, you know, similar to something we've already done.
So you guys don't email or anything back and forth. It's all done here. Now, this is like the central hub.
Well, so we don't email the issues. Usually they still have to alert that, hey, there's some bigger issue. Like what'll happen is usually the PMs are checking this like daily, right? To see what the issue is, and then they're alerting the engineering group as far as, hey, you know, we have this issue. Because if it's a field fix that's already been taken, we try to make our field fixes as general as possible. So if it's you know, if the slab is in 1 inch, you know, we're going to try to find you know, 1 inch beyond tolerance. We're going to try to make that field fix work for the whole building. And that way, you know, we don't have to recalculate at every specific position, right? So if there isn't an existing field fix that the PM can determine, then he'll go to the engineering group and, you know, they'll come up with you know, they'll draw up the detail for that, and then that would be done. So so at that point they'll email the engineering group letting them know that, hey, that's there, but they don't need to give them all the information since everyone has the access to this, so they can go to that.
This is amazing.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if Watts is he on the phone? It would be great to incorporate something like this.
You
Just
know,
the field
yeah,
fix thing alone is huge.
yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, I recorded it, so he can see
Nice.
it.
Send it to him. He's be like, you got to watch this one.
Yeah, I will.
And that's, I mean, that really covers how we're using Bluebeam to communicate and, you know, specifically with the field and to upload documents to everyone. Like I said,
thank you so much for doing this and showing us this.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is very cool.
Yeah, no problem.
I think I definitely want to try this out on Matilda, but obviously the front end of having, you know, engineering and drafting be a part of it wouldn't be feasible to start for me in the middle of a job, but I would love to, even if it means that I'm the owner of making sure all the files are updated. I think it would be a really good test out here in Fremont.
You could even use it for your, you know, your pre-punch, your QC walks that the PM would be doing out there.
Yeah.
All on there. Kind of like how we've done with field wire or all that other stuff. Plan grid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Another question real quick. What do you guys do when the job's done? Like, do you archive them? Do you just leave everything there? Do you still have job folders on the server?
Well, so we haven't really gotten to a point where we're archiving the different projects because we've only been doing it for about a year now, and our projects last a little bit longer. So what we'll typically do is Bluebeam will allow you to kind of download that onto a server. So you know, download that project or download a session so you can put it all together on a server and archive it that way once you're done.
Okay, and you guys aren't putting anything on the old normal job folder, Walters and Wolf servers. Everything's on Bluebeam now, you said?
All the PDFs, obviously, all the CAD
Yeah.
drawings and stuff, they're still on the server. But we're trying to get it to the PDFs are there. Because material orders tend to be combinations of spreadsheets and drawings, we've kept material orders on the server so that way, you know, they can be used because like I said, spreadsheets haven't been great. We haven't found great ways to put spreadsheets on Bluebeam, and because once they're up there, then you can't really do anything with them apart from download them.
Okay. And then you said that there's an email that gets sent out every time a drawing or something's been updated by the engineering team and placed on the project, right?
Yeah.
So if it's like a Delta 1 or Delta 2 shop drawings, the field might be in the middle of installation. They need to re-download that new set of drawings, and it's going to be a little bit longer that first time, every time there's an update, right? Until it starts working offline.
Right. If there's a large update, then yes, it would take longer to download, but usually, you know, if you're just slipping, you know, 10, 20 sheets in there, it doesn't take all that long.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, like Shiloh said, if you guys are more interested in how to do this, you know, feel free to contact me and, you know, we can set something up.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to send you a meeting request so I could kind of play with it and see if I could try it out.
Okay, yeah, and overall, you know, all the functionality in Bluebeam is pretty simple. We've been playing around just trying to figure out how we can make things faster, you know, the linking process, all that stuff, but everything runs pretty simply through it.
Awesome.
Okay.
Very cool. Thank you for taking the time to doing this for us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Thank you.
So I don't see that Steve Larson's on yet. I know there was some traffic and everything. Tom, was there anything? Is Tom on here?
He was. I saw him earlier.
Yep, I'm here.
So are you able to give a brief comment or anything on this new report for billing?
Say that again.
Were you involved with Larson on doing this new invoice report for the billings?
Yeah, I can walk through that.
Okay. Okay, so Tom's going to walk through that for us.
Give me a minute here. Let me get set up.
Okay, so this is for billings when we have stored materials and we need to gather the invoices. They're working on a new report that pretty much gathers everything and simplifies it. And I think possibly maybe even using this, even if we don't have to provide the invoices to the customer, but we may be doing it just anyway.
Yeah, I think that's right, Lisa, because I went through it with Steve too.
Okay.
Everybody does it every time they have, every time they're billing for stored materials. So just in that time period when you're in the shop, that's when you'll do it. You won't do it every week if you don't have stored materials, but
Or month.
or every month. Yeah, exactly. But yeah.
Cool.
I like this surprise Tom you're presenting today.
Yep. Little sneak attack.
Yeah.
We'll see how good you really are.
No, about
if you don't have everything up and running, Steve said he could report out on it next week, but I thought I'd, you know.
He still may want to do that, but I can.
Hey, Lisa.
Yeah.
Do you know how long this is going to be?
It was like, Larson said it was like 10 minutes.
Okay, I just have it 2 o'clock.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
it's very.
This is pretty quick. If everybody can see my screen.
Yes.
10-4.
So this is under, you know, PM dashboard, PM reports. And then you go to invoice cost by job. Click on that. And you pick a job. Anybody doing, I think Matt had, go down to 1 West Side. One West Side, view report. So it pulls up all your invoices for the job. And so let's say you're billing for obviously November, and you probably did your October billing, you know, October 8th, 9th, 10th, somewhere in there, right? If you know what that date is, you can come down.
Well, Tom, I think first you change it into an Excel spreadsheet, right? So you can kind of clock the dates.
Yep. So what you can do up here, drop down, Excel. So it puts it into an Excel form, if everybody can still see that. And you can go down.
I think we're just seeing the report of it, so.
All right. Got that?
Got it.
Yeah, it just puts it into an Excel, and you can go down and let's say you build October 7th. So you can go down and go below October 7th. Click here, highlight everything below it. Delete those. And it just gives you, you know, this is what you should be billing for in November. And that gives you an idea, you know, if you can then total those up. And down at the bottom, you know, it's 2.3 million. So when Matt's doing his billing, he should have an idea. You got to go through these. You may want to pull a few more out if they're not stored material or whatever, but this gives you a way of capturing, you know, really what invoices you have. And then, Nick, are we taking these and putting them into a folder?
Yeah, so you probably want to go through and delete all the negative charges that you have, because you probably won't want to charge for those. I think there's a couple on this.
Yeah, there's one here.
Yeah, so you want to get rid of those so it doesn't hit your total number. That sum down there, that 2,329,000. So that's a rough number of your total billings for that month. You're going to want to tack 20% on that, and that's it. And that's going to be your total number you're going to be billing. But you also have to take a step back and separate all these by cost code, because you may have glass coming in, you may have metal coming in, which will be on different cost codes or different line items on your G703. So there is a little work involved. You have to, but you can sort through the cost code, right? You can go through 474, get all those in order, sum that number up, tack 20% on it, and then charge for your glass that month. And then do the same for metal, do the same for, you know, fasteners, stuff like that. And then what you want to do is, once all that's complete and everything's organized correctly with the sums, you're going to want to save that in a folder. We're going to figure out where to put it. It's probably going to be in that G703 folder. You're going to label it, you know, this month. So you're going to want to label as like November billings. So you have a record to go back next month, and see where you left off. So Tom left off on the 10th. Everything past the 10th on the next billings, you're going to account for. So I know Steve's still working out on the processes, but that's kind of how it's going to go.
Yeah.
With this new way, do you still have to go into your PO tab in your portal and download all the invoices?
No, because what's going to happen is I think Watts is going to put together a program that reads all those invoices, drops them all in a folder for AR, and then they can now have it all in one place. So there'll be no more going to the portal, downloading all those invoices. It's just going to be an automatic thing. So
Sweet.
It's a little more work on our side for the AR team to have a lot less work. And just remember,
we go through the end of the month, but here we're stopping at the 10th.
Well, because if you need to show
So that means the next 20 days is billed the following month, or we
Yes.
start to expand out next 20 days. before.
Yeah, Greg, so that is correct. Because if you're, a lot of GCs require invoices. So, you can't guess at what you're going to receive, right? Or the exact invoice amount. So, on the 10th, we're cutting it off, and we're, again, creating this process, this standard process. We're hoping that, this allows AR to get better at this in our billing department, and we can start moving out our billings. Instead of doing them on the 10th, we can move them to the 15th, and moving them to the 15th, we get to bill another 5 days of invoices. But right now,
So we
we don't have good standards for billing. And so it's kind of,
So basically, we're
takes
talking about, so we're, for materials wise, we're only gonna bill for the 10th, but labor, we can project out labor.
Yeah.
20 days, right? Okay.
Yep.
And remember, it's only for when you're billing for stored materials. So it's only going to be a month or two out of the year you're doing this.
Yeah. And that's one other thing, that when you're going through here and cleaning it up a little bit, sorting it by cost code, you're going to have some items that possibly deliver directly to the field. So you would want to wipe those out as well. If you had your embeds going straight to the job site, on your G703, you're going to bill that as job site and not stored. So you could bill 100% whether you have an invoice or not.
Yeah, that's exactly like you
There'll
have
be a little more cleanup, but I actually
have
think this is a lot easier for the PM than to go into each cost code and click save on all those stinking
right.
Individual invoices. I think this is a lot quicker. And the PM doesn't have to open up each one and tally up the invoices. It's just all right here for you. So you make
Question.
it easier for us as well.
I got a quick question. When you guys are sharing invoices with the customer, are you leaving the values in there? Or are you guys not showing those?
Usually you have to, because you're billing for that. And I wanted to make a point about, Nick talked about marking everything up 20% on stored materials. That's going to be a standard for us as a company, just because everybody's doing all kinds of crazy things. And the management team, we kicked it around, and we feel 20% is a fair amount for everyone. So
is that going to be in the
How are
contract?
you going to mark it up 20% when you're sharing the invoices?
What's that?
How are you going to mark it up 20% when you're sharing invoices?
Well, you have the invoices and the amount.
You're just talking about just for billing.
Yeah, it's overhead and profit. I mean, that's
just for billing stored material, Candace.
Okay.
But Tom, is that going to be in our contract language then?
Probably not. I mean, we'll work on that, but the problem is right now there's some customers that don't ask for invoices.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, we're gouging them. It's like, hey, we have these really good customers that treat us really well and trust us, and we take stored materials and mark them up 100% and give them, and bill for it because they don't ask for invoices. Other customers we're billing, and they come back, and we provide invoices, but then they go, hey, you have, a 30% markup on these. And so we think 20 is fair. You're going to get the customer, and we have that down here some, that in the contract that they don't allow markup on stored material. So we'll have to deal with that on an individual basis.
Mm-hmm.
But just to try to make things a little more standard for everybody and a little fair for our customers. And trust me, we want to bill as much as we can, but we got to be fair to our customers, and especially the good customers that aren't, asking for backup and invoices. Let's be fair about it.
Right.
I think typically up here that typically for providing invoices, we're not allowed to do the markup on most jobs here. Give invoice, we're not marking up because we're not allowed to bill for profit at the time.
Yeah, and again, you're going to have to address that on a job by job basis, but if you can put markup on it, it should be 20%.
And we're still only doing this when invoices are required, or are you saying we're going to submit invoices and mark it up 20% whether they ask for it or not?
No, if you're not required to do invoices, don't provide them, but you should still be looking at this. This gives you an idea of what your stored materials are.
Right.
And throw 20% on it, and it gets you in the ballpark, right?
Well, I think what Steve has said, that regardless if you're providing invoices, you're still going to do this exercise. You're still going to charge that same amount, that 20% plus whatever you have for that month, but you're not going to show invoices.
Yeah, that's a good clarification. You're still going to do this process, but no, we're not going to submit invoices if they're not required.
And then, so then when the material, when everything goes out to the field, that's when you just bill the rest of your.
Yeah, you bill the balance.
Like normal. Yeah.
If you got a job that has a 28 margin on it and you're only billing 20%, obviously that line item in your G703 isn't going to be billed 100%. So when you ship it out to the job, you bill the balance.
Yeah. Okay. Just wanted to see if that was changing.
And again, this is just for stored materials. And Lisa, you brought up about embeds or something like that. If you have a Nanodore shipping direct to the job site, it's going to be shipped towards the end of November. You can bill it on here 100%, the material portion of it, and
is there,
because it's not a stored material.
Yeah.
Is there a way to filter this report for shop use invoices, or is that asking for too much? Because if it's a field use PO, I mean, we're never going to be stored materials, theoretically. I mean, I don't know, maybe it gets diverted to the shop.
I don't think you can separate it that much. I mean, by cost code, but beyond that, shop versus field, if you have things that are going to shop and the field under the same cost code, I don't think you can filter it that way.
I think it's just, you're going to do this until your stuff starts hitting the field, and then you charge for everything. And we might be behind a little bit, but
again, once we get a good standard process and we get good at this, and it helps our billing department with some of, because right now they're trying to track down invoices and they're spending all kinds of time with this. And so that's the reason we have that deadline of the 10th for billings, because they need the 10 days, because most of our billings are due the 20th. They need that 10 days to get through all of our jobs and pull everything together, and conditionals and unconditionals and invoices and all that other stuff. And as we get better with this and a little more refined in a standard process, we can shrink that time down. And again, that's the goal is, ideally we give all the PMs till the 15th to bill, because you're going to capture more of this stored material. Your billings are going to be more accurate, projecting to the end of the month. So that's the end goal here. And I probably didn't do a great job with that, but we can have Larson do another one if we need to, but you get the basics.
Totally threw you on the spot. Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
Good job,
Thank
Tom.
you, Nick. A little backup there. Got Nick.
Yep. All right. Okay, cool. Anyone else have any questions? All right.
Well, yeah, if anyone does have questions on this portion of it, I mean, myself, Nick, Larson, we can all help with it. So.
Okay, cool.